troubleshoot this another time unless it's a major.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, while you're looking at that, I was
Okay.
doing some history research recently. Have you ever heard of the legend of the Cavern of Span? I'll just jump
The
into it.
Cavern of Span?
Yeah, man. Legend says that no one's ever survived it. It's smoke steals your breath before you reach this treasure. And I was like, this is really interesting. Let me read some more about it. It's like many have tried, none return. Kings have sent warriors, temples have sent priests. No one's ever returned. The village elders got together and they were like, how do we figure this out? Who should we send? And the youngest among them whispered, there's one who might survive, one whose lungs have never faltered, even at birth. And the chief said, I, the breather.
That was impressive.
I don't remember how I first heard them. I assume my friend Jack Rose showed them to me because he was always into the hippest, newest metalcore, especially like the Christian metalcore stuff. Like he showed me "Oh Sleeper," "Texas in July," that sort of things. And so I got into them with "These Are My Sins" and followed them throughout their whole time. I always thought they were going to blow up and get bigger. Didn't feel like they ever did. By the time they were
Mhm.
doing their like farewell tour, they were playing like the really small stage at Warp Tour. Like they didn't even get a main stage. My only fun anecdote about them is I saw them. They came through Chicago, August Burns Red, Silverstein, and Texas in July. So it was a pretty loaded lineup. And they did back-to-back nights. They did the Bottom Lounge and then House of Blues. And I took pictures with the guys, or with the drummer, Morgan, a green Chicago Blackhawks hoodie, and then I saw them the next night, wore the same hoodie, and he remembered me. He's like, "Hey, green hoodie guy." So that felt really cool.
I remember that one of those shows at least because I didn't go, and I regret it. That would have been a really really good show to go to. The Breather. I don't really have much to say about my story with them. I saw them at Warped Tour in like 2014. That's really it. I've known the name. I think somebody in our dorm, maybe it was you, had the Truth and Purpose poster in their room,
Hmm.
and
I think that was me.
this is my first time really getting into it, listening to any of their stuff.
Well, then let's
So
jump
that's it.
in.
Yeah,
As a newcomer, what were your thoughts on "These Are My Sins"?
I'm trying to say something positive here because with none of these albums, none of them are things that I like. There's nothing bad. There's nothing I hate, but I feel this way about all of them, and especially this one. The way you felt about the story so far, where it's just all very samey and blends together.
Hmm.
Especially this one out of all of them, it just feels like very generic kind of metalcore. Best way to put this is with a contrast. Devil Wears Prada is probably my favorite metalcore band. They're at least in like the top one. And with Prada and some of the similar stuff from that around that time, like Attack Attack's first album, it's very unpredictable. It's got wild extremes in terms of where the song goes. The song feels like it's taking you on a journey. These songs, they're all like pretty much the same tempo. They're probably all the same key or similar keys. They don't
Yeah.
feel like they go anywhere. The breakdowns don't feel like they're this like incredibly heavy assault after like some kind of different kind of thing going on. None of them are bad. None of them are like, wow, I hate this. But I honestly, went and listened to this one like again like today, and I'm like trying to like remember what these songs are, but I don't think I can name like a single riff or line off of this if you put a gun to my head after listening to it multiple times. It's just
Hmm.
kind of there.
Hmm.
It's just kind of talented but uninspired. That's how I would put it.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
feel
my
like
take on this.
yeah, for sure. I feel like I know it better, and so there are a couple points that stick out. But I had a similar note. I say the album feels like pretty repetitive and redundant as a whole. Like you get what they're doing, but I think
Mm-hmm.
there are a few shining spots. I think High Rise, The Common Good, and Forgiven. I did those backward for some reason as far as the track listing goes. Um, all stand out as like really high points of what the band could do. But I think the story so far is a great comparison. Is like, and in fact, I always kind of felt this way about Either Breather. They're really good background music. Like I like the style they're producing.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. But if I clue into it, it's really hard to pick up what song am I on. And this is a really good example of that. But the album as a whole, it's
Yeah.
intense, it's energetic. Um, They employ a lot of technical breakdowns where it's like you can tell they've worked hard to like memorize with done, you know, like what downbeats they're hitting. But I think as a result, it makes them not very memorable. To example, Prada, you know, Danger Wildman, we can all do that big down.
I know. That one.
It's very catchy and it sticks with you.
Yeah.
And this is very mathematical, but not in like a time signature sense. Just like a
very
guitar
precise.
licks. Yeah, very precise. There's an awesome Dustin Davidson feature. Shout out August Burns Red again. I love his screams. And I will say, lyrically, I just look into them a little bit because I don't, you know, tend to listen to lyrics, especially when Sean is screaming because you can hardly understand him. But this is the most explicitly Christian they get. It's maybe their only Christian record, if you want to call music Christian. God is referred to as Lord, Creator, Maker, Creature, Savior, and Father. Yeah, I felt like they were a little bit more missional, self-reflective, and encouraging lyrically. And that pretty quickly goes away. But on the whole, it's a little amateurish despite clearly a lot of skill. So then we jump ahead 2 years to Truth and Purpose. It's a lot more digestible, I think. You got some choruses. There's like some songs that are simpler, like Bruised and Broken is a lot more simple than anything from the first record. We've got choruses. I feel like on the whole, the weaker songs from this album feel weaker than the weaker from the debut, if that makes sense. And speaking of the faith element, like it's already so vague. They go, I believe there's a king, a throne up there. And that's like the only allusion to God or faith in the whole album. So I think it's funny just because they get included still in like the Christian metalcore scene. There's an awesome Micah, I don't know how to say his last name, Kennard feature. So shout out to O Sleeper in this album. I love Knights and Pawns. It's one of my favorite tracks. They have that like little Middle Eastern lick over a breakdown in the middle of the song. April 12th, 2011, if you say it that way, that's a little more epic for them. False Prophet is spelled like money, profit, but it has nothing to do with that. It feels like the type of band to make this mistake completely ignorantly, not realizing that they just used a different homophone, and then get annoyed with you when you point it out. You're like, hey, you know what I meant, man. But on the whole, I put it less than These Are My Sins. I don't think I always felt that way, but this time through, it just felt a little, I don't know, undercooked.
Oh, we'll point out that Rephaim is a biblical reference.
Oh,
so
well, there you go.
Track 9. And the lyrics, I think, are kind of referencing some stuff in the Old Testament. Every album they do, it's a little more polished. And this one feels like, I think there's maybe a little bit of clean singing. There's mostly these kind of like sort of melodic screaming chorus things. I kind of honestly class this one along with the first one, where it just feels like a bunch of songs that are all kind of mid and all kind of sound the same. Nothing's bad enough to make me turn it off. Nothing's good enough to make me want to go back. And one thing about this band is I feel like with a band like, you know, early Prada or Lamb of God or Attack or something like that, I feel like those are bands with like riffs and breakdowns. And it's like metalcore, where it's like you have metal riffs or rock or post-hardcore riffs, and then breakdowns is like kind of a flavoring. This feels like most of everything is like a breakdown. And to me, I feel like I've become, you know, the metalcore version of Syndrome, The Incredibles, where I'm like, when everything's a breakdown, nothing will be.
And when everyone's
the breakdown, nothing will be. And that's the problem for me with a lot of this, is that since everything is these very similar breakdown-y kind of riffs, they don't really stand out. Whenever they do a breakdown, it doesn't feel heavier than the rest of the album. So overall, again, it's not bad. It's competently done, but I don't think I'll ever go back to this one. This one is top the debut. Debut is number 2.
Maybe one day we'll have the same ranking. And then the finale, Life Reaper 2014. Most of the band has been replaced by this point. Only one member from the last album is still here, and no one from the first album. That is of like the musicians. Sean is the only
Not
constant
even the
from.
singer?
No, the vocalist is the only constant from the
okay.
whole arc, even the return in the 2020s. So I wasn't counting him, but like of the songwriters, because I don't think he plays any instruments. Very obvious with the feels less like, hey, let's take a shift sound wise, and more like we're just a different group of guys. So with that said, I mean, there are obviously more kind of electronic elements here. There's more layers to the production. Kind of feels like they're just trying to lean into maybe trends at the time. But who knows, because maybe these other guys just write music like this. As a drummer, I feel like I noticed that Morgan is gone. He had a very specific style, and I really liked him. And how you feel about the first album, I feel about this album a lot. I feel like the songs all blend together. It's really hard to differentiate. And you can also kind of tell it's much darker lyrically. Sean seems to be going through some stuff. But anyways, I have this in my 2 slot. I think that it was a letdown for most people. I remember that seemed to be the takeaway, but I always thought it was interesting, and I liked it more than Truth and Purpose.
This one was a weird one for me because I like the style a lot less. I think the songwriting is better. It has a lot more like hooky stuff. The stuff I can actually remember. I like the brick by brick breakdown, the brick by brick on the Setting Sun. I thought Swine Cult was all right. I can remember that. I thought Demon Dreams was like probably my favorite song by the band. But again, it has like an actual like big chorus and hook. That being said, none of this is really stuff I'm going to go back to. I don't like the whole djenty thing that's going on. There's a lot of bits in here that just seem like just kind of there for novelty. Like they'll have the real high pitch, like and it doesn't seem like it's adding anything to the song. It's just like we did it because we could. Same with like a lot of like the electronic effects on the voice, where it's like not bad, but kind of generic, pointing toward a very plasticky kind of production to it. And yeah, lyrically, I feel like lyrically it actually is the more interesting one, but it's very much in the we were a Christian band and I was a try-hard Christian and now I'm a try-hard atheist. That's being a little too glib about it, but I don't know. There's something about like being in a metalcore band that, like, you know, like don't do that if you're a Christian and want to stay a Christian. I don't know what it is. You can play like, you know, black metal, you'll be fine. You know, any other genre. But it's like, you know, the moment you just like put in the metalcore band, like it's like the that.
Yeah. It also, I just wonder how much of it was authentic from the start, or it was, oh, here's a niche that's kind of blowing up, and yeah, my parents took me to church on Christmas and Easter growing up. I can do this. Do you know what I mean? And so, like, were they genuine Christians, or did the Christians leave the band and Sean doesn't care, and here are these new guys and we don't play Christian music anymore? Like, there's so many different options. But I agree, it seems to be the thing that so many metalcore bands
I don't know. It does feel like, at least from listening to the lyrics, it did sound like he had a bunch of bad experiences with people, assuming the lyrics are, you know, genuine, which I don't see a reason to think they're not. And that's what he was kind of going off of. And it is a reminder that, like, you know, we talk about it being like the Christian metal scene, but it's usually a specific couple of denominations of Christianity that dominated it. With kind of certain expressions and then certain kind of ways they went wrong. I mean, honestly, like most of Christian metalcore, I guarantee you, is going to be either Baptist, Pentecostal, or non-denominational that's sitting somewhere in between there. And there's a very kind of...
We're getting very niche now for
aspects of those cultures that are very try-hard. Yeah, well, I'm just saying there's a it's certain pockets of kind of American fundamentalism where this kind of came out, where it's this oftentimes came with this very like idealistic, kind of in your face kind of attitude, and then I think a lot of those people, there was a lot of, you know, kind of spiritually bad stuff in there, and that caused a lot of people to burn out, really. And I think that wouldn't be the case. I'm not saying it would never happen with any other denomination. I'm not trying to say that, but I think there are certain things that led people to do this kind of arc of like, you know, try hard, and then again, like, you know, Spencer from Under Oath, you end up having these kind of issues, and you feel like now you're not this perfect person that everybody wants you to be, and you totally betrayed everyone.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of a different vibe, and maybe these kind of more judgmental theological circles. Again, I'm not saying it's that way for everybody.
Sure.
But I do think there is a certain place where a lot of these people came from that was all very similar, and is not really the place that I come from, coming from someone who's raised Presbyterian and is Methodist now. So anyway, long story short, it's okay.
That's we've gone into our other channel here, Denomination Dudes.
That would actually be a pretty funny channel where we like rank denominations.
Exactly.
Lots of angry comments from the Catholics and Orthodox. Why are we not number one?
The first shall be last. My final ranking is, as of today at least, These Are My Sins, Life Reaper, and then Truth and Purpose. I think they're all solid. I enjoy them all, but I think there's a reason that they never really took off to the next level of stardom. Just wasn't in the cards for them as far as quality they were putting out.
Mine would be Life Reaper at the top, followed by Truth and Purpose, followed by These Are My Sins. So strangely enough, the final album actually gets the top spot for me. Never happens.
Never happens.
Did you want to say anything about their comeback?
Older than 10 years. Yeah, I'd love to. It sucks. I was like, yo, let's go. The boys are back. It's been 6 years. What are we going to do? But it's just Sean and like another dude, and it felt like a cash grab. Like, they want to make new music. Let's put it out under the moniker where I already have an established fandom. It totally went the Under Oath route where like, hey, we swear now, and so we're cool. They actually happened to be going on tour. They did a 10-year anniversary tour for their first two albums. But they happened to come to Chicago. They played some minuscule bar. It was really sad, actually. There were like 12 people there. And it was like just so strange. Whenever you see a band of any size who like had a career and then they come back, and it felt like a local band. It was a bizarre experience, but I was happy to have seen them once with my wife, and they played some songs that I knew, so that was cool.
No, I agree. Their new stuff sucks. It's like somehow even worse than Under Oath's new stuff. Again, it could be literally any band that does this super generic, like, it sounds like what our parents thought metalcore sounded like. It's just the guitars are so turned up so much, it just sounds like mush. There's no song structure.
Yeah.
Brain Seek. I guess it's supposed to be Brain Seek, but I guess we're taking out the K. Is this a Slipknot reference? I hope not, because I like Slipknot and I hate this song. It's the worst song I've ever heard in my entire life.
This wouldn't be a review of a band without Nick House saying something was the worst thing he's ever heard in his entire life. So I'm glad we slipped it in there.
So 5 favorite songs.
Oh, unless you have them.
Almost all of which are from Live Reaper. I have them.
Oh, okay, great.
So I was going to say my 5 favorite songs, almost all of which are from Live Reaper, are Setting: Sun, Swine: Cult, Demon: Dreams, Chain: Breaker, which does have a pretty neat riff at the beginning. I will give them that. And then I couldn't think of another one from that, so I just went with False Prophet from the first one. Honestly, other than those few that I named off of Life Reaper, most of the stuff is just kind of interchangeable for me. Not bad, not great.
Well, this is the first. I think we'll have 5 completely unique songs, and for an artist that doesn't have that deep of a discography, that's interesting. High Rise, tough to beat that opening riff, but it does rip. The Common Good, Knights and Pawns, Fear: Devil, and Forgiven. Oh, I should have had a final line there about, I hope people can forgive us for how short this is. Maybe something like that. But people are probably glad of how short it is.